The lint trap saved my marriage, or rather, destroyed the illusion of one. I was folding laundry on a Tuesday afternoon, pulling warm clothes from the dryer in our suburban Atlanta home, when I heard it, a sharp plastic rattle against the drum. My wife, Emily, had already left for her book club, so I reached in and found a cheap flip phone wedged between the dryer wall and a towel. Not her iPhone. Not anything I'd ever seen before. My hands went cold despite the warmth of the laundry. We'd been married 11 years. We had 2 kids, Brandon, 9, and Lily, 6. Emily worked part-time as a dental hygienist. I ran a successful HVAC business that I'd built from nothing. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. Or so I'd believed until that moment. I opened the phone. The text messages loaded slowly, like the universe was giving me one last chance to put it down, to choose ignorance, to stay in the comfortable lie. I didn't take it. Can't wait to feel you again. Tomorrow at the usual place? Your husband really doesn't suspect? You're incredible. Leave the wedding ring on next time. Makes it hotter. There were dozens more. Hundreds, maybe. The messages went back 8 months. 8 months of my wife meeting someone named Tyler at the Marriott off I-85 every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. 8 months of elaborate lies about book clubs, yoga classes, and shopping trips with friends. The most recent message was from today, sent 2 hours ago. Room 412. I'm already here. I checked the time. Emily had left 40 minutes ago. The Marriott was 15 minutes away. My first instinct was to drive there, to kick down the door, to confront them both. My hands actually shook as I grabbed my keys. But then I stopped, standing in my garage with the door half open, engine running in my truck. No, that's what she'd expect. That's what would make me the bad guy, the crazy, jealous husband. That's what would give her ammunition in whatever came next. I killed the engine and went back inside. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten breakfast that morning, where she'd kissed me goodbye and told me she loved me. And I started thinking. Really thinking. I'd built a business from scratch. I hadn't done that by being impulsive or emotional. I'd done it by being smart, methodical, and always 3 steps ahead of the competition. This situation required the same approach. First, I photographed every message on that burner phone with my own phone. Every single one. Then I carefully noted the phone number, the contact name, even the model of the device. I put the burner phone back exactly where I'd found it, wedged against the dryer drum. Then I opened my laptop and started researching. Georgia is a no-fault divorce state, but it also recognizes fault-based grounds including adultery. Adultery can affect alimony. Specifically, it can prevent the cheating spouse from receiving it. It can also influence asset division and, in some cases, custody arrangements if the affair affected the children's well-being. I needed more than text messages. I needed ironclad proof. I called my business partner, James, and told him I needed to take a few days off for a family emergency. He didn't ask questions. Then I called a private investigator whose card I'd kept from a job we'd done at his office 2 years ago, installing a new HVAC system in a surveillance firm downtown. His name was Robert Finch, and he answered on the second ring. I need documentation of an affair, I said without preamble. My wife. Starting today, if possible. How certain are you? He asked. Completely. I have the hotel, the day, probably the room number. Text me everything. I can have someone there in 30 minutes. I sent him the details, along with photos of Emily and a description of her car. Then I waited. The hardest part wasn't the anger or the betrayal, though both burned in my chest like acid. The hardest part was maintaining normalcy. Emily came home at 6:30, right on schedule, carrying a Barnes & Noble bag she'd apparently purchased as a prop. How was book club? I asked, kissing her cheek like I had 1,000 times before. Oh, same old discussions about character development and themes. She smiled, and I noticed how easily the lie came to her. How practiced. We're reading this new thriller, very intense. Sounds interesting, I said, turning back to the stove where I was making spaghetti for the kids. She disappeared upstairs to shower, to wash him off her skin. I served dinner. We ate together as a family. Brandon talked about his science project. Lily showed us a drawing she'd made at school. Emily laughed at all the right moments, asked all the right questions, played the role of devoted mother and wife with an actress's precision. I matched her performance perfectly. After the kids went to bed, we watched television together on the couch. Her head rested on my shoulder. My arm was around her waist. To anyone looking through our window, we were the picture of suburban contentment. "I love you," she said during a commercial break. "Love you too," I replied automatically. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Robert Finch with 3 attached photos. I angled the screen away from Emily as I opened them. The first showed Emily entering the Marriott at 3:47 p.m. The second showed her with a man in the hallway outside room 412 at 3:52 p.m. They were kissing. The third showed them entering the room together at 3:53 p.m. The timestamp on the last photo showing them leaving 6:04 p.m., 2 hours and 11 minutes. I slipped my phone back into my pocket and pulled Emily closer, kissing the top of her head. "Tired?" she asked. "Long day," I said, "but good to be home." She had no idea that her entire world was about to collapse, and I was going to make sure she never saw it coming. The email arrived on Thursday morning while I was reviewing estimates for a commercial job in Buckhead. My phone chimed, and I glanced at the notification without much interest until I saw the sender. La Petite Maison. Thank you for being our favorite guests. I opened it. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, thank you for your continued patronage. As members of our loyalty rewards program, we're delighted to offer our favorite couple a complimentary appetizer on your next visit. We've loved serving you both these past 8 months and look forward to many more romantic evenings together. Warmest regards, Jean-Paul Mercier, owner, La Petite Maison. I read it twice, then a third time. La Petite Maison. I'd driven past it 100 times. A French bistro in Virginia Highland with white tablecloths visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. Soft lighting. Wine list posted by the door. The kind of place Emily would call too fancy for a Tuesday. Except she'd been going there every Tuesday, with him. I clicked through to their website. The loyalty program required an account. Email address, phone number, names. Someone had registered using my email, dethompson.chaltvacagemail.com, mail to dethompson.chaltvacagemail.com, and listed us as Daniel and Emily Thompson, married couple. My hands went cold. She'd used my email address. My actual email. Not a burner account, not some fake name. Mine. Which meant she'd been confident enough, careless enough, or stupid enough to think I'd never notice a confirmation email from a French restaurant I'd never heard of. I scrolled through my inbox, searching La Petite Maison. 4 emails. The first dated 8 months ago. Welcome to our loyalty program. Then, monthly updates. You've earned 50 points. You're halfway to gold status. I'd never seen any of them. They'd gone straight to a folder I never checked. Promotions, where Gmail automatically sorted restaurant newsletters and shopping deals. She'd counted on that. On my not paying attention to spam folders, on my being too busy with work to notice a few automated emails from a restaurant. She'd been building a paper trail of our fake marriage, earning points on romantic dinners with another man, using my identity to create a comfortable lie. The audacity of it burned worse than the affair itself. I forwarded the email to Robert Finch with a single line. Found something else. He called within 10 minutes. I need records, I said before he could speak. Credit card statements, reservations, anything that proves how often they went there. I can request their loyalty account details if you forward me the login credentials, Robert said. Do you have access? I clicked the forgot password link. A reset email arrived instantly. 2 minutes later, I was looking at an account dashboard that made my stomach turn. Member since September 14th. Total visits 31. Points earned 620s. Status Gold member. 31 visits. 8 months. That was nearly every Tuesday plus extras. I'm in, I told Robert. 31 dinners. They've got reservation history, dates, times. It's all here. Screenshot everything, he said. I'll need dated records showing the pattern. This is good. Very good. It establishes premeditation and sustained deception. I took screenshots. The reservation list read like a calendar of my marriage's disintegration. September 14th, 7:30 p.m., party of 2Es. September 19th, 7:30 p.m., party of 2Es. September 26th, 7:30 p.m., party of 2Es. Every Tuesday, sometimes Thursdays too, always 7:30, always party of 2. Special notes appeared on some reservations. Anniversary table on November 2nd. Window seat, champagne on December 21st. Birthday dessert on January 15th. His birthday probably, or the anniversary of when they'd met. Some milestone I'd never know about because I'd been home those nights, heating up leftovers and helping Brandon with math homework while Emily celebrated a separate life. There's more, Robert said, pulling me back. I've been running surveillance since Tuesday. She went to the Marriott yesterday afternoon, stayed 90 minutes. But here's what's interesting. I followed her after. She didn't go home. I sat up straighter. Where? Whole Foods on Ponce. She bought flowers, wine, and ingredients for what looked like an expensive dinner. Then she went home. I watched her unload everything and start cooking around 5. She made him dinner at our house? No. Robert's voice carried a strange note. She made you dinner. I watched through the window. She set the table, lit candles, the whole production. You got home around 6:15. She kissed you at the door. I remembered. She'd made coq au vin, opened a bottle of red I'd been saving. Told me she wanted to do something special, no reason, just because. We'd eaten by candlelight while the kids watched a movie upstairs. She'd been affectionate, attentive. We'd gone to bed early. She's compartmentalizing, Robert said. Classic pattern. The affair provides excitement. The marriage provides stability. She's maintaining both because she wants both. Not for much longer. Agreed. But I'm telling you this because it shows intent. She's not planning to leave. She's planning to keep this going indefinitely. That matters in court. Judges don't look kindly on long-term deception. I stared at the laptop screen, at the list of 31 dinners that represented 31 nights of calculated betrayal. Can you get inside the restaurant? I asked. Talk to staff, see if they remember anything. Already planning on it. I'll go tomorrow night, show some photos, see if anyone recognizes them. People talk to investigators differently than they talk to suspicious spouses. Good. One more thing, Robert said. Your lawyer should know about this. The loyalty program, the pattern, all of it. It's ammunition. I'd been thinking the same thing. I pulled up the contact information for David Wright, the divorce attorney I'd consulted Tuesday night. Sent him a brief email with the screenshots attached. Additional evidence. Please review. His response came back in minutes. This is extremely helpful. Can you come in tomorrow afternoon? We should discuss next steps. Next steps. The words felt heavy. I'd been gathering evidence for 3 days, building a case like I was preparing a business acquisition. Documents, photographs, timelines. Everything organized and filed. But at some point, the preparation had to end. At some point, I had to act. Not yet, though. Not quite yet. That evening, Emily came home at her usual time, 5:45, still in scrubs from the dental office. She kissed my cheek, asked about my day, started pulling ingredients from the refrigerator. How was work? I asked, leaning against the counter. Slow, just cleanings, nothing interesting. She chopped an onion with practiced efficiency. How about you? Busy. Had to deal with a supplier issue, then met with a potential client in Buckhead. Sounds stressful. It was fine. We moved around each other in the kitchen, a choreographed routine perfected over 11 years. She cooked, I set the table. She asked about Brandon's soccer practice. I mentioned Lily needed new shoes. The conversation was mundane, comfortable, completely hollow. I watched her hands as she worked, the same hands that had texted Tyler yesterday, that had touched him in that hotel room, that had typed my email address into a restaurant loyalty program to build a fake history of our marriage. Oh, she said suddenly, glancing at her phone. Book club is canceled next Tuesday. Jennifer's sick. That's too bad. Yeah, maybe I'll just stay home, have a quiet night. She smiled at me, warm and genuine, and I smiled back. Sounds nice, I said. After dinner, after the kids were in bed, we sat together on the couch. She leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, and we watched some crime drama where the detective always caught the killer in the final act. This is nice, she murmured. I feel like we haven't just relaxed together in forever. We should do it more often. We should. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then silenced it without reading the message. Not important? I asked. Just spam. She nestled closer. I'm right where I want to be. I put my arm around her and kept watching the show, where the detective was explaining how he'd known all along, how every piece of evidence had pointed to the same conclusion, how the suspect had made one crucial mistake that unraveled everything. Emily fell asleep against me around 10. I stayed awake, feeling her breathing, steady and peaceful, while I thought about tomorrow's meeting with David Wright. Next steps. The detective on screen was making his arrest now, reading rights while the killer protested innocence. The evidence told a different story, though. It always did. I looked down at Emily's sleeping face, peaceful and trusting, and thought about 31 dinners at La Petite Maison, about gold member status earned through systematic deception, about my email address used to build a lie. She'd made one crucial mistake. She'd gotten comfortable. The email arrived Friday morning while I was reviewing invoices at my desk. Subject line, for our favorite couple. I stared at it for a full minute before opening. Dear Mr. Thompson, thank you for being such loyal patrons of La Petite Maison. As a token of our appreciation, please enjoy this complimentary dessert on your next visit. We look forward to seeing you and Mrs. Thompson again soon. Warmest regards, Michel Laurent. Owner. Attached was a coupon code and a reminder that I'd earned gold status in their rewards program, requiring a minimum of 30 visits and $3,000 spent within 12 months. I'd never set foot in the place, but I had the spreadsheet Robert compiled. 31 documented visits. Average check. $120 per dinner. Emily and Tyler had been working their way through what was apparently an exceptional wine list on my credit card's loyalty points. The email address was mine. The phone number was mine. But the reservation history showed a pattern of Tuesday and Thursday evenings, always a table for two, always under Thompson. She'd registered us as a couple, not her and Tyler, her and me. I sat back in my chair, reading the email again. The casual intimacy of it, our favorite couple, burned worse than the affair itself somehow. This wasn't just cheating. This was identity theft of our marriage, a performance so detailed she'd built a parallel loyalty program around it. My phone buzzed. Emily. Don't forget parent-teacher conferences tonight. Brandon's is at 6, Lily's at 6:30. I'd completely forgotten. I'll be there, I typed back. The meeting with David Wright was scheduled for Monday morning. 3 more days of this performance. 3 more days of pretending I didn't know that my wife had been playing house with another man at a French restaurant I couldn't even pronounce correctly. I forwarded the email to Robert Finch with a single line, adding to the file. His response came within minutes. Good catch. Also, got the hotel records you requested. Sending over now. The attachment loaded slowly. 47 separate room charges at the Marriott over 8 months. Each one billed to a credit card ending in numbers I didn't recognize, probably Tyler's. But the dates aligned perfectly with Emily's book club schedule and her Thursday yoga classes. 47 times. I'd been counting Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, but seeing it itemized like this, each charge representing hours she spent in a hotel room with him, while I believed she was improving herself, enriching her life with literature and exercise, made my hands shake enough that I had to set down my coffee. James knocked on my office door. Hey, we've got the Riverside contract ready for your signature. I minimized the email. Bring it in. He dropped the folder on my desk, then paused. You good? You look like hell. Didn't sleep great. Emily keeping you up? He grinned. Lily still having those nightmares? Something like that. He left, and I signed the contract without reading it. Probably stupid, but I couldn't focus on HVAC systems and installation schedules when my entire life was documented in spreadsheets and hotel receipts. Another email arrived. This one from the Marriott Rewards Program. Congratulations, you've earned a free night stay. I actually laughed, cold and sharp, alone in my office. They thought I was Tyler. Or rather, Tyler had used an email address similar enough to mine that their system got confused. A typo in their database, maybe. One letter off, one number different, and suddenly I was getting credit for his affair with my wife. The universe had a sick sense of humor. Parent-teacher conferences were exactly as excruciating as I'd anticipated. Brandon's teacher, Mrs. Palmer, spent 20 minutes praising his math skills while Emily nodded and smiled beside me, her hand occasionally brushing my arm in that casual way married couples touch. Performative intimacy. I wondered if she touched Tyler like that at La Petite Maison, signaling to the waitstaff that they were together, a unit, worthy of gold status and complimentary desserts. Mr. Thompson, did you have any questions? I realized I'd been staring at the wall behind Mrs. Palmer's head. No, sounds like he's doing great. Emily squeezed my knee under the table. He's been distracted lately, she said to the teacher, apologetic. Work stress. The lie came so easily to her. Smooth and practiced, with just enough detail to be believable. I wondered how many lies I'd swallowed over 8 months. Hundreds, probably. Thousands, if I counted the small ones. The casual deceptions that built the foundation for the bigger ones. Lily's conference was shorter. Her teacher expressed concern about some behavioral issues, acting out during group activities, difficulty sharing with classmates. Has anything changed at home? Miss Robertson asked, looking between us with that careful expression teachers use when they suspect something but can't quite name it. Nothing significant, Emily said. Although she has been staying up later than usual, we should probably enforce bedtime more strictly. We, us, the United Parental Front. I nodded agreement, playing my part. Afterward, in the parking lot, Emily touched my arm again. Want to grab dinner? We could try that new Italian place. The audacity of it hit me like a physical blow. She wanted to take me to dinner. A date night. More performance, more proof that we were still the couple everyone thought we were. I've got early appointments tomorrow, I said. Rain check? Sure. She smiled, and I searched her face for any sign of guilt, any crack in the facade. Nothing. Just my wife of 11 years, suggesting dinner like she hadn't spent the afternoon in a hotel room 3 days ago. We drove home in separate cars. I watched her taillights ahead of me and thought about the email from La Petite Maison, the complimentary dessert waiting for our favorite couple. Saturday morning, I met Robert Finch at a coffee shop 40 minutes from my house, far enough that I wouldn't run into anyone I knew. He slid a manila envelope across the table. Everything you asked for: hotel records, restaurant receipts, phone logs from the burner. Also managed to get some background on Tyler. I opened the envelope. Tyler Brennan, 34, divorced, sales manager at a medical supply company. 2 DUIs, one from college and one from 3 years ago. No kids. Lived in a condo complex about 15 minutes from the Marriott. Classy guy, Robert said dryly. The DUIs might be useful if custody becomes contentious. Shows judgment issues. I studied Tyler's driver's license photo. Average-looking guy, slightly receding hairline, decent smile. Nothing special. Nothing that explained why Emily would risk everything. But that was the wrong question. It wasn't about Tyler. It was about what Emily wanted that she couldn't get from our marriage, or what she thought she couldn't get. Excitement, maybe. Novelty. The thrill of being someone's secret instead of someone's spouse. One more thing, Robert said. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. Emily and Tyler outside La Petite Maison, his arm around her waist. She was laughing at something, head tilted back, looking more relaxed than I'd seen her in months. That image would stay with me. Not because of the intimacy, I'd already seen worse in the burner phone messages, but because of how happy she looked. Genuinely, unself-consciously happy. When's your attorney meeting? Robert asked. Monday morning. Good. You've got everything you need. More than enough for a favorable settlement. I closed the envelope. What happens if she doesn't know I know? If I just keep going? Robert raised an eyebrow. You mean stay married? No, I mean keep documenting. See how far she'll take it. That's a dangerous game. So is what she's been playing. He considered this, then shrugged. Your call. But the longer you wait, the harder it gets. On you, on the kids. And she's not going to stop on her own. People like this, they only stop when they get caught. I knew he was right, but part of me wanted to see how the performance would end if I let it run its course. Would she eventually confess? Would Tyler push for more, demand she choose? Or would she just keep splitting herself in half indefinitely? Gold status at La Petite Maison and family movie nights at home? 2 lives running parallel until something finally forced them to collide? I'll think about it, I said. Robert stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth. You're handling this better than most. But don't lose yourself in the strategy. At some point, you've got to feel it. After he left, I sat with my coffee and the envelope, thinking about Emily's laugh in that photograph, about the complimentary dessert waiting for us, about the hotel rewards points accumulating in someone else's name. Monday morning, I'd sit across from David Wright and make it official. Set the machinery in motion. But for now, I had the weekend. 2 more days of normal. 2 more days of watching Emily perform our marriage while I performed right back, both of us pretending everything was fine. The email from La Petite Maison was still open on my phone. I looked at the coupon code, then at Tyler's driver's license photo. Then I made a reservation for 2. Tuesday night, 7 p.m., under the name Thompson. The reservation confirmation sat in my inbox like a loaded gun. Tuesday, 7 p.m., Thompson party of 2. I'd used my real name, my real phone number. No more hiding. Monday morning arrived with the usual chaos. Brandon couldn't find his math homework. Lily insisted on wearing her Halloween costume to school even though it was March. Emily moved through it all with practiced efficiency, braiding Lily's hair while simultaneously making pancakes and signing permission slips. You're quiet this morning, she said, glancing at me over her coffee mug. Big week, I said. Installation at the Riverside Complex. The lie came easily now. I'd learned from the best. My appointment with David Wright was at 10. I left the house at 9:30, telling Emily I needed to check on a supply order before the job site. She kissed me goodbye, her lips soft against my cheek. "Love you," she said. "You too." Wright's office was in a renovated Victorian in downtown Decatur, all exposed brick and modern furniture that probably cost more than my truck. His paralegal, a sharp-eyed woman named Jessica, led me to a conference room where Wright was already spreading documents across a mahogany table. "Mr. Thompson." He stood to shake my hand. Wright was maybe 50, gray at the temples, with the kind of calm demeanor that probably cost $400 an hour. "I've reviewed everything you sent. Let's talk strategy." I sat across from him, watching as he organized photos, bank statements, the restaurant receipts I'd pulled from our credit card statements, the evidence of Emily's double life, laid out in neat rows. "Georgia's a no-fault state," Wright began, "but judges still consider conduct when it comes to asset division and alimony. What you've documented here, the affair, the financial deception, using marital funds for these restaurant visits, it strengthens your position considerably." He pulled up a spreadsheet on his laptop. La Petite Maison. 31 visits over 8 months. Average check of $240. That's over $7,000 in marital funds spent on an extramarital relationship. "Can we freeze the accounts?" I asked. "Not yet. Too aggressive, and it signals that you know. Better to document everything than act decisively." He made a note. "You mentioned she works part-time, 3 days a week?" "Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. But she's not actually working Tuesdays." Wright nodded. "The Marriott visits. How certain are we about the pattern?" "Robert's been tracking her for 2 weeks. Every Tuesday, 2 p.m. check-in, gone by 6. She tells me she's picking up extra shifts." "Does the dental office know she's claiming to work Tuesdays?" I hadn't thought of that. "I don't know. Worth finding out. If she's lying to her employer too, it's another piece." Wright tapped his pen against the table. "Here's what I recommend. We file this week, but we don't serve her until we've secured certain protections. I'll file a motion for temporary orders, custody, exclusive use of the marital home, child support. We serve everything at once. How long? Papers can be ready by Wednesday. Service by Friday if you want to move fast." Friday, 4 days away. The timeline felt both too fast and not fast enough. "What about tomorrow?" I asked. Wright looked up. "Tomorrow? I made a reservation at La Petite Maison. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. He set down his pen. "Why?" "Good question. I'd been asking myself the same thing since I'd called the restaurant Saturday afternoon. I want to see it, the place she's been building this fantasy life. And if she's there? She won't be. Tuesday afternoons she's at the Marriott. Restaurant visits are Thursday evenings, according to the loyalty program history." Wright studied me for a long moment. "This isn't about reconnaissance, is it?" "No." "What is it about?" I looked at the photos spread across the table. Emily and Tyler walking into the hotel, her hand on his arm. Emily laughing at something he'd said, her head thrown back in a way I hadn't seen in years. Emily kissing him in the parking lot, both of them backlit by the setting sun. "She made me part of her lie," I said. "Used my name, my email, built this whole story about us being regulars there, their favorite couple. I want to see what that looks like." "Be careful," Wright said. "Don't do anything that could complicate the divorce. No confrontations, no scenes." "I'm just having dinner." "Alone?" "Yes." He didn't look convinced, but he moved on. We spent another hour going through financials, the house, my business, retirement accounts, college funds for the kids. Wright explained equitable division, custody arrangements, the likely timeline for a contested divorce. "Though with this evidence," he said, "I doubt she'll contest much. Her attorney will advise settling quietly." "She gets nothing," I said. Wright's expression didn't change, Georgia law entitles her to marital assets regardless of fault. But we can minimize her share, especially given the financial infidelity. And alimony, with this documentation, we can likely avoid it entirely. She's employable, she committed adultery, she spent marital funds on the affair. No judge will reward that. It wasn't enough, but it was something. I left Wright's office at noon with a retainer agreement and a timeline. Papers filed Wednesday, service Friday. By next week, Emily would know I knew. But first, tomorrow night. I spent Tuesday afternoon at the Riverside job site, though I couldn't have told you what we installed. My crew handled it while I sat in the truck, watching the clock creep toward 2 p.m. At 2:17, my phone buzzed. Robert Finch, texting from his surveillance position. Subject arrived Marriott. Same room. Male subject already inside. I stared at the message. While I was reviewing HVAC schematics, Emily was walking into room 247, probably already unbuttoning her blouse in the elevator. The duality of it, my wife and this stranger who shared her face, created a disconnect I still couldn't fully process. Copy that, I texted back. I'm off the clock after today. Understood. Final report by Thursday. I wouldn't need it. Wright had enough. But completion felt important, documenting it right up until the moment I pulled the trigger. At 6:30, I headed to La Petite Maison. The restaurant occupied a converted house in Virginia Highland, all white tablecloths and soft lighting. Expensive cars filled the small parking lot. BMWs, Mercedes, a Tesla. I parked my truck between a Lexus and an Audi, suddenly aware of the contrast. Inside, a hostess in a black dress greeted me with a professional smile. Good evening. Do you have a reservation? Thompson, 7 o'clock. Her smile brightened. Mr. Thompson, welcome back. It's been what, 2 weeks since we've seen you? My throat tightened. Something like that? Will Mrs. Thompson be joining you? There it was. The comfortable lie Emily had built, now standing in front of me in a black dress with a reservation tablet. Not tonight, I managed. The hostess's smile faltered slightly, probably wondering about the favorite couple having relationship trouble, but she recovered quickly. Right this way. She led me through the dining room, past couples leaning close over wine glasses, past a family celebrating something with champagne. The restaurant was exactly what I'd imagined. Intimate, romantic, expensive. The kind of place you took someone when you wanted them to feel special. Emily had been here 31 times, with Tyler. Your usual table? The hostess asked. I almost laughed. Sure. She seated me at a corner table with a view of the room, a small candle flickering between the salt and pepper shakers. Henri will be your server tonight. He'll be right over. I sat down, picking up the menu without seeing it. Around me, the restaurant hummed with quiet conversation, the clink of silverware on china, soft jazz playing from hidden speakers. This was the world Emily had created, the fantasy she'd been living every Thursday night while I thought she was working late or having dinner with her sister. Mr. Thompson, a waiter appeared, middle-aged and French accented. Henri, presumably. So good to see you again. But where is your lovely wife? Working late, I said. Ah, a shame. Should I bring the usual wine, or would you prefer something different tonight? Usual wine. They had a usual wine. What's the usual? I asked. Henri looked momentarily confused. The Chateauneuf du Pape. You and Mrs. Thompson always share the 2015. $70 wine, probably, times 31 visits. Just water tonight, I said. I'm driving? The hostess led me through the dining room with practiced grace, weaving between tables draped in white linen. Soft piano music drifted from hidden speakers. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over couples leaning close, sharing wine, celebrating anniversaries or closing business deals, or pretending their marriages weren't dying. Here we are, Mr. Thompson. She gestured to a corner booth with deep burgundy upholstery. Your usual table. My usual table. I'd never set foot in this restaurant before tonight. Perfect, I said. She placed a leather-bound menu before me. Your server will be right with you. Can I start you with something from the bar? Just water for now. I'm waiting for someone. Of course. She smiled and glided away. I sat facing the entrance. The booth was positioned perfectly, tucked into an alcove that offered privacy while maintaining a clear view of the entire restaurant. Strategic. Emily would have chosen this spot deliberately, a place to see without being easily seen. The menu featured the kind of prices that made dental hygiene look like a hobby rather than contributing to household income. $47 for duck confit. $62 for the beef Wellington. I did the math automatically. 31 visits. Even being conservative, she'd spent thousands of my money here. Thousands of hours I'd thought she was at book club or yoga or helping her mother. A waiter appeared, younger than me, with the kind of cultivated professionalism that came from working high-end establishments. Good evening, sir. Welcome back to La Petite Maison. Welcome back. Thanks, I said. Will Mrs. Thompson be joining you this evening? The question landed like a punch. Mrs. Thompson. They knew her. Knew us. Knew we were a couple, regulars, people who celebrated something here often enough to earn gold status. Not tonight, I said. Just me. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or curiosity, but his training held. Very good. Can I tell you about our specials? I let him recite the evening's offerings without really listening. Seared scallops, wild mushroom risotto, words that meant nothing. When he finished, I ordered the duck confit and a glass of their house red. Might as well see what Emily had been enjoying. He departed. I pulled out my phone and opened the folder of screenshots I'd taken from the burner. I hadn't looked at these in days. No need, I had them memorized. But sitting here, in their space, I wanted to see them again. Can't wait for Tuesday. Same place? Always. I love our little traditions. You make everything feel special, like we're the only people in the world. I scrolled further back. Found the first mention of La Petite Maison, dated 8 months ago. Tyler took me to the most amazing restaurant tonight. You'd love it. So romantic. We should go sometime. She'd told me about it, actually described her date with him and suggested we go together. The audacity burned worse than the betrayal itself. My wine arrived. I sipped it. Smooth, rich, probably excellent. It tasted like ash. The hostess seated a couple 2 tables over, mid-50s, holding hands, laughing about something. Real or performance? I couldn't tell anymore. Everyone looked like actors now, playing parts in scripts only they could see. My phone buzzed. Text from Robert Finch. Subject departed residence 7:42 p.m. Heading north on Roswell Road. Want me to follow? Tuesday night. Emily's usual night. Of course she'd gone out. Yes, keep distance. Updates only if location changes. I set the phone face down and picked up my wine again. The duck arrived, artfully arranged on white porcelain. The waiter offered fresh pepper, refilled my water, vanished. I cut into the meat. Tender, perfectly cooked, probably the best duck I'd ever had. I ate methodically, tasting nothing. Halfway through the meal, my phone buzzed again. Subject arrived Marriott, I-85, entered through side entrance 8:14 p.m. Of course. The restaurant was just foreplay. The hotel was where the real tradition happened. I typed back, room number? 3 minutes passed. Then, 4:12, same as previous visits. They had a usual room, a favorite booth and a favorite room. Creatures of habit, building their own little world with my money and her lies. I finished my meal, declined dessert. When the check came, I studied it carefully. $63 for the duck, $14 for the wine, $8 for water. Plus tax and tip, just over $100. Multiplied by 31 visits. $3,000, give or take. More if she'd ordered appetizers, desserts, better wine. More if Tyler had paid sometimes and she'd reciprocated other ways. I handed over my credit card, the same one that had paid for all those previous meals, according to the loyalty program records. The waiter processed it with the same professional courtesy he'd shown all evening. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We hope to see you again soon." "I'm sure you will," I said. In my car, I sat in the parking lot and checked my phone. No new messages from Robert. Emily was still at the hotel, still in room 412, still with Tyler Brennan. I pulled up the reservation I'd made for Friday night. 8 p.m., table for two, anniversary celebration. The hostess would seat us at our usual table, the waiter would welcome Mrs. Thompson back, and Emily would have to explain why this restaurant knew her so well. Except she wouldn't have to explain anything, because by Friday afternoon she'd be served with divorce papers. By Friday night, she'd know I knew everything. The reservation was just insurance. A small twist of the knife if she somehow tried to deny it all, claim the loyalty program was a mistake, insist she'd never been here. I deleted the reservation. No need for theater. The evidence spoke for itself. 47 hotel visits, 31 restaurant meals, 8 months of documented lies. David Wright had everything he needed. The judge would have everything he needed. Another text from Robert. No movement. Lights visible in room window. I started the car. The drive home took 20 minutes. The house was dark, except for the porch light I'd left on. Inside, the silence felt different now. Not peaceful, empty. A stage set waiting for actors who'd never return. Brandon's backpack sat by the stairs where he'd dropped it after school. Lily's art project, a construction paper butterfly, decorated the refrigerator. Evidence of the life Emily was destroying, one Tuesday and Thursday at a time. I climbed the stairs to our bedroom. Her side of the closet held the clothes she'd chosen not to wear tonight, the outfits that weren't special enough for Tyler. I wondered if she bought new things for him, or if she recycled favorites, or if he even noticed what she wore. My phone buzzed. Robert again. Subject departing hotel. 10:47 p.m. Following. 3 hours. They'd spent 3 hours together. Dinner at La Petite Maison would have been another 90 minutes before that. 5 hours total, every Tuesday for 8 months. I did the math. 160 hours minimum. A full week of her life spent with him. Acknowledged, I typed back. Continue surveillance until subject returns home. I changed into sweats and went downstairs to my office. Opened the file David Wright had prepared. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Grounds. Adultery. Evidence. Comprehensive. Wednesday morning the papers would be filed. Friday afternoon, a process server would hand them to Emily. Probably at the house, maybe at her work. David had suggested the house, more private, less embarrassing. I told him I didn't care about her embarrassment. He'd made a note and moved on. My phone lit up. Subject arrived home 11:23 p.m., entering through garage. I heard it then. The mechanical grind of the garage door opening, the soft thud of her car door closing, her footsteps on the stairs leading into the kitchen. I stayed in my office, door closed, lights off. She moved through the house quietly. Water running in the kitchen. Her footsteps on the stairs. The bedroom door closing, going through her nightly routine. Washing off Tyler's cologne, changing into pajamas, slipping into our bed like she'd done nothing more interesting than attend book club. I waited 30 minutes, then went upstairs. She was already asleep, or pretending to be. Her breathing was even, her back to my side of the bed. I lay down carefully, keeping distance between us. Stared at the ceiling in the darkness. 2 more days. 48 hours until everything changed. The woman beside me sighed in her sleep and rolled over, her hand brushing my arm. I didn't move. Didn't pull away. Just let her touch me one last time. This stranger who'd shared my bed for 11 years. The coupon arrived Wednesday morning while Emily was still asleep. I'd been up since 5, drinking coffee in the kitchen and watching the sunrise through the window over the sink. My laptop sat open on the counter, email already loaded. The notification pinged at 6:47 a.m. La Petite Maison. A special gift for our favorite couple. I clicked it open. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, thank you for being such loyal patrons of La Petite Maison. To show our appreciation for your 31 visits over the past 8 months, we're delighted to offer you a complimentary anniversary dinner for 2, including a bottle of our finest champagne. Simply present this email at your next reservation. We look forward to celebrating with you. Warmest regards. Philippe Arnaud, General Manager. The email had been sent to my business address, the one Emily had used when she registered for their loyalty program, the one that actually belonged to me. I forwarded it to David Wright with a 2-word message, more evidence. His response came back in under a minute. Beautiful. Filing in 2 hours. I saved a screenshot to the folder on my desktop. It sat there alongside 47 hotel receipts, 3 months of bank statements, Robert's surveillance photos, and the complete text message history from the burner phone. The folder was labeled Business Records 2024. Nothing that would draw attention if Emily happened to glance at my screen. Not that she ever did. She'd stopped being curious about my life somewhere around month 3 of the affair, I figured. Footsteps creaked overhead. The shower turned on in the master bathroom. I closed the laptop and poured myself another cup of coffee. Wednesday morning. Emily had Wednesdays off from the dental office. Usually she spent them running errands, going to the gym, meeting friends for lunch. Meeting Tyler, probably. Though Robert's surveillance hadn't caught a Wednesday rendezvous yet. They seemed to prefer their Tuesday and Thursday hotel routine. I wondered if they'd keep their Thursday appointment this week. Emily would be served Friday morning. David had arranged for a process server to catch her at Starbucks, where she went every Friday at 9. By Thursday night, she'd still think everything was fine. One last Thursday with Tyler before her world collapsed. The shower shut off upstairs. I heard the bathroom door open, then Emily's voice, muffled through the ceiling. Brandon, you need to get up. School in 45 minutes. Domestic routine. Normal Wednesday morning. I pulled eggs from the refrigerator and started breakfast. By the time Emily came downstairs in her yoga pants and a loose sweater, I had scrambled eggs, toast, and fresh fruit laid out on the kitchen table. You're up early, she said, pouring herself coffee from the pot I'd made. Couldn't sleep. True enough. I hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night since finding the phone. Thought I'd make breakfast before the kids got up. That's sweet. She kissed my cheek, brief, automatic. The kind of kiss you give a roommate you're fond of. I have a busy day. Grocery store, then the gym, then I'm meeting Jessica for lunch. Jessica, her standing Wednesday lunch companion. I wondered if Jessica was real or if that was code for something else. Robert hadn't followed her on Wednesdays yet. We'd focused on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the confirmed hotel days. Maybe I'd have him check. Though it hardly mattered now. The papers would be filed in less than 2 hours. Sounds nice, I said. Where are you going for lunch? That little sandwich place near the mall. The one with the good soup. Right? I set plates on the table. Hey, random question. Did you ever sign me up for any restaurant mailing lists? I got this weird email this morning from some French place. Her hand froze halfway to her coffee mug. Just for a second. Then she picked it up and took a sip. Which restaurant? La Petite Maison, downtown. They're saying thanks for being loyal customers, but I've never been there. She set the mug down carefully. That's strange. What did the email say? I pulled my phone from my pocket and opened the email, holding it out to her. Something about 31 visits. Must be a mistake. Emily took the phone. Her eyes moved across the screen. I watched her face, the slight tightening around her mouth, the way her jaw clenched. Weird, she said, handing it back. Probably a spam thing. You know how those databases get mixed up. Yeah, probably. I pocketed the phone. I'll just delete it. Good idea. She turned toward the refrigerator. Do we have any orange juice? Left side, bottom shelf. Brandon thundered down the stairs, backpack bouncing against his shoulders. Lily followed more slowly, dragging her stuffed rabbit by one ear. Morning, guys, Emily said, her voice bright and normal. Dad made breakfast. We ate together. Emily asked Brandon about his math test. I helped Lily cut her toast into triangles the way she liked. We could have been any family on any Wednesday morning in any suburb in America. Except I knew that in 90 minutes, my wife's name would be on a divorce petition citing adultery and requesting full custody of our children. Except I knew she'd spent 8 months building a fake history with another man at a restaurant I'd never set foot in until 2 nights ago. Except I knew that every word out of her mouth was calculated to maintain a lie. I'll take the kids to school, Emily said when breakfast was finished. You have that early appointment, right? I didn't. But I nodded. Yeah, HVAC install in Buckhead. Big job. Okay, I'll see you tonight. Another automatic kiss, this one aimed vaguely at my forehead. Love you. Love you too. The words tasted like copper in my mouth. I watched through the kitchen window as she loaded the kids into her SUV. Brandon climbed in the back, still talking about something. Lily clutched her rabbit. Emily checked her phone before starting the engine, probably texting Tyler. They backed out of the driveway at 7:52 a.m. At 9 a.m., David Wright would walk into the courthouse and file the petition. At 9:15 a.m., those documents would become part of the public record. At 9 a.m. Friday, Emily would be served. She had roughly 48 hours left of her comfortable lie. My phone buzzed. Text from Robert. Thursday surveillance confirmed. She made hotel reservation for 6 p.m., same room. Want me there? I typed back, yes, full documentation. One last Thursday. One last hotel visit. One last piece of evidence, though we had more than enough already. But I wanted it complete. I wanted the record to show exactly who she was and what she'd done, right up until the moment the papers hit her hands. Another text, this time from David. Ready to file. Last chance to back out. I stared at the message for a long moment. The kitchen was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of a neighbor's lawnmower. Last chance. I thought about Emily's face when she'd read the email. The practiced calm. The easy lie about database errors. I thought about 31 dinners at La Petite Maison. 47 hotel rooms. 8 months of I love you, while she planned her next Thursday with Tyler. I thought about Brandon's math test and Lily's stuffed rabbit and the life I'd thought we were building. File it, I typed. The response came back immediately. Done. See you Friday morning. I set the phone down and poured the last of the coffee into my mug. It had gone lukewarm, but I drank it anyway. The house felt different now. Lighter, somehow. Like a weight I hadn't known I was carrying had started to lift. My email pinged again. Another message from La Petite Maison, this one confirming a reservation for Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Table for 2 under the name Thompson. Emily hadn't wasted any time. She'd made another reservation while driving the kids to school. I forwarded it to David and Robert, then deleted it from my inbox. Tomorrow she'd go to the hotel with Tyler. Tomorrow night she'd come home and kiss me on the cheek and tell me about her day. some edited version that didn't include room 412 at the Marriott. Friday morning, she'd go to Starbucks for her regular coffee. And Friday morning, everything would end. I rinsed my mug in the sink and headed upstairs to shower. I had actual work to do, a furnace replacement in Marietta that couldn't wait. Life continued, even while marriages ended. The water ran hot against my shoulders. I stood under the spray and let myself feel it, finally. Not the anger or the hurt, just the certainty. Friday was 2 days away. Friday morning arrived cold and clear. I was at the Riverside job site by 7, watching my crew unload equipment while my phone sat heavy in my pocket. The process server had Emily's address, her description, her schedule. 9 o'clock at Starbucks, like clockwork. At 8:47, I got the text from David Wright. Server in position. I didn't respond. Just watched James direct the forklift, the normalcy of work continuing while my marriage officially ended 3 miles away. At 9:12, papers served. She's reading them now. I imagined her face. The confusion giving way to shock, then panic. The carefully constructed lie collapsing in a Starbucks parking lot while she held a vanilla latte in one hand and her divorce petition in the other. My phone rang at 9:23. Emily. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again at 9:25, 9:31, 9:44. Voicemail, voicemail, voicemail. The texts started at 9:47. Please call me. We need to talk. This is a mistake. Please. I silenced my phone and went back to work. Robert's final surveillance report arrived that afternoon. Thursday's hotel visit documented in timestamps and photographs. Emily arriving at 6:04 p.m., Tyler already in the room. Emily leaving at 9:37 p.m. 3.5 hours, right up until the night before she was served. The report also included something I hadn't requested. A background check on Tyler Brennan that went deeper than his DUIs. Married twice before, both marriages ending badly. A pattern of affairs with married women. 3 separate HR complaints at his company for inappropriate relationships with subordinates. Emily hadn't been special. She'd been a type. I filed the report with everything else and called David Wright. She's been trying to reach you, he said without preamble. I know. Her attorney called. They want to negotiate. No. Daniel, listen. No negotiations. She committed adultery with marital funds, lied for 8 months, used my identity to build a fake history at a restaurant. The evidence is documented. I want full custody, the house, and she gets nothing. David was quiet for a moment. Georgia law doesn't work that way. She's entitled to some marital assets regardless of fault. Then minimize it. That's what I'm paying you for. I can do that. But full custody is difficult unless we can prove she's an unfit mother. And an affair doesn't... She brought her affair into our children's lives, used family time as cover for hotel visits, spent money that should have gone to their college funds on expensive dinners with her boyfriend. That's not fit parenting. Another pause. I'll draft the response, but Daniel, you need to talk to her eventually. About the kids, if nothing else. When I'm ready. I hung up and stared at my phone. 17 missed calls from Emily. 23 text messages, each more desperate than the last. The final one, sent 10 minutes ago. I know you hate me, but please don't do this to our children. Our children. The same children she'd risked destroying for 8 months of hotel rooms and French restaurants. I deleted the message thread and called my brother in Tennessee. I'm going to need a place to stay for a few days, I said when he answered. Can I bring Brandon and Lily? Of course. What's going on? I'll explain when I get there. We'll leave tonight. I picked the kids up from school myself, something I rarely did. Lily's face lit up when she saw my truck in the pickup line. Brandon looked confused. Where's Mom? He asked, climbing into the back seat. She had something to take care of. I thought we'd do something fun. How about a trip to Uncle Mike's? In Tennessee? Lily bounced in her booster seat. Can we see the horses? Absolutely. But it's Friday, Brandon said. I have soccer tomorrow. We'll miss one practice. I already talked to your coach. I hadn't, but I would. We stopped at the house long enough for them to pack bags. Emily's car was in the driveway, but I'd had the locks changed that morning, another thing David had arranged. Her key wouldn't work. My phone rang as we pulled out. Emily again. I declined the call. We were 2 hours down I-75 when Brandon asked the question I'd been dreading. Dad, are you and Mom getting divorced? I glanced in the rearview mirror. He was looking out the window, trying to sound casual. Lily had fallen asleep against her stuffed rabbit. Yes, I said, because she was cheating? My hands tightened on the steering wheel. How did you? I heard her on the phone sometimes, late at night when she thought everyone was asleep. His voice was flat, matter-of-fact. 9 years old and already learning that people lie. She was talking to someone, not the way you talk to a friend. I didn't know what to say. The silence stretched between us. Is that why we're leaving? He asked. We're not leaving forever, just giving everyone some space to figure things out. Are we coming back? I don't know yet. He nodded and went back to looking out the window. We drove the rest of the way in silence. Mike's farm was exactly what we needed. 40 acres of nothing but horses and quiet. The kids spent the weekend riding, feeding chickens, forgetting for hours at a time that their world was breaking apart. I spent it on the phone with David, negotiating the terms of Emily's surrender. Because that's what it became. Her attorney had reviewed the evidence, all of it, every receipt and photograph and text message, and advised her to settle quickly and quietly. Fighting would only make it public, expensive, and humiliating. The terms were simple. I kept the house, my business, and primary custody. She got supervised visitation every other weekend, her car, and enough from our savings to rent an apartment. No alimony. She'd have to rebuild her life the same way she'd destroyed our marriage, from nothing. Tyler Brennan, according to Robert's final update, had stopped returning her calls. The affair had been exciting when it was secret. A messy divorce and a desperate ex-wife weren't part of his pattern. Emily signed the papers on a Tuesday, fitting, somehow. The same day of the week she'd spent 8 months in hotel rooms. I signed them on Thursday. We were divorced by the end of March. 6 months later, I sold the house. Too many ghosts in those rooms, too many memories of a marriage that had been a performance. Brandon and Lily needed a fresh start, and so did I. We bought a smaller place closer to their school, with a big backyard and no history. Brandon joined a new soccer team. Lily started taking art classes. They saw Emily every other Saturday, supervised visits that gradually became less awkward as everyone adjusted to the new normal. She'd moved into a one-bedroom apartment in a complex near the dental office where she'd picked up full-time hours. No more part-time schedule, no more Tuesdays off. She needed the money. I never asked if she regretted it. Didn't care enough to wonder. The business grew. I hired 2 more technicians and started bidding on commercial contracts I'd always been too busy to pursue. Turned out I had a lot more time when I wasn't maintaining a marriage. Robert Finch and I stayed in touch. He sent referrals my way, clients who needed HVAC work. I recommended him to friends navigating their own discoveries of infidelity. A strange professional relationship built on the wreckage of trust. David Wright sent a final bill in September with a handwritten note. You handled this better than most. Good luck. I framed it and hung it in my office, next to my business license. A reminder that sometimes winning means losing everything and starting over. One Tuesday evening in October, I drove past La Petite Maison. The white tablecloths were visible through the windows, couples leaning close over wine glasses. I wondered if any of them were lying to each other, building secret lives with other people's spouses. Probably. I didn't stop. Just kept driving, past the restaurant and the Marriott and all the places Emily had built her fantasy. They were just buildings now, stripped of power. My phone buzzed at a red light. Text from Brandon. When are you coming home? Lily wants to show you her painting. On my way, I typed back. 20 minutes. The light turned green. I headed home. The real one. The one without lies or performances or loyalty programs built on betrayal. The kids were waiting on the front porch when I pulled into the driveway. Lily held up a canvas covered in bright colors and enthusiastic brushstrokes. It's our family, she announced. See? That's you, and that's me, and that's Brandon, and that's the dog we're going to get. We haven't agreed on a dog, I said, but I was smiling. We will, she said, with absolute certainty. Brandon rolled his eyes, but he was smiling too. We went inside together. I made dinner while they did homework at the kitchen table. We ate together, cleaned up together, watched a movie on the couch with Lily falling asleep against my shoulder and Brandon providing commentary on the plot holes. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It was smaller, quieter, built from the ruins of what I'd thought I wanted. But it was real, and that made all the difference. The truth is simple. Trust isn't given, it's built. And when someone tears it down, brick by brick, lie by lie, you have two choices. Rebuild with the same broken materials or start fresh with a stronger foundation. I chose the foundation. Emily chose the lie. We both got exactly what we deserved.